All right, now remember the Santa Fe District Attorney now saying that criminal charges may be filed in the Alec Baldwin prop gun shooting that killed cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. Joining us for a legal analysis on this story, criminal defense attorney and former assistant U.S. attorney Alex Little. Alex, thank you for taking time. I think we're all captivated by this tragic story because we keep learning that a number of individuals may have handled this gun, that some protocols may have been missed. Lay out for us, if you will, sort of the chain of individuals between the person that's supposed to be taking care of the gun, that his job on the set is the safety of the gun, to actor Baldwin.
I think some of the reporting has suggested it's touched at least 3 people. There was a time when Mr. Baldwin was apparently doing some rehearsing. He was given the gun, but before he had it, the assistant director had it. It's unclear where the assistant director got it. There's a suggestion he picked it up off the table. At that point, it likely should have been in the hands of the armorer, the individual responsible for the guns on the set. It's unclear if she kept a sort of chain of custody of that gun. She certainly didn't have control of it at the time. So there was at least 3 or 4 people who had that gun before it went off. And I think that makes this whole, investigation really interesting.
And when we hear reports that the armorer, the woman who's sort of the weapons specialist on the set, saying that she really doesn't know how a live round could be in the gun, that really is hard to process.
Well, it suggests that she doesn't, she didn't know what she was doing. If you don't have an answer as to how it happened, if you had a better answer, which is I kept the gun here, it was in a safe, it was on me, there's no possible way it could have got there. Well, that's the better answer. If you say you don't know how, then it suggests your systems and procedures weren't in place to ensure it couldn't happen. And that's exactly how we ended up in this tragic situation.
And Alex, obviously, I would think that, with so many contracts of actors and all these other things with a major film production, that there would have been some sort of legal responsibility for someone to have weapons on a set on a movie like this.
What was interesting is there apparently were some disputes with the crew earlier that week about safety. This was not the first concern. This was not the first incident that led to the crew being concerned about safety. There absolutely are protocols that should have been in place here. They had someone who was supposed to be responsible for the guns hired on set, and obviously she failed, at her job and completely. And so the district attorney is going to look at all of these failures and determine whether there's a reason for criminal charges. I think it's certainly possible. You're dealing with guns, firearms, live ammunition. It caused the death of one individual tragically and a serious injury to the other. I think it would not be surprising if the district attorney decides this is a case of voluntary manslaughter and holds someone responsible for this.
Who would that be, Alex? Who would face charges?
Yeah. I think that the interesting question is whether it's the assistant director or the armorer or potentially both. I think the one question is why the assistant director would declare, this is a cold gun. That's been pretty clearly established, I think, by the reporting that he said that when he handed it over. But apparently he hadn't made any checks, hadn't done anything to confirm that. And so if you're handing someone a gun and telling them it's safe and it's not, certainly I think you have the responsibility and you were negligent in not doing that, probably even reckless. Now, why was the gun there? Why were there bullets in it? That's going to be the responsibility of the armorer. I think both of them certainly are in legal jeopardy.
I read this story and I was struck that an assistant director is declaring a cold gun and handing it to the actor, when wouldn't the weapons person be the one to handle the gun at all times for safety purposes? Or It certainly should have been. It suggests that they were very rushed. They had to replace the crew earlier that day. One report I saw said that Mr. Baldwin was just trying to get a dummy gun. He wanted a dummy gun, not a real gun, for what he was doing, and apparently they didn't have one on set. So again, at every step there was a failure. It's a small production. Maybe they didn't have the right things in place. They were trying to rush. There's no reason the assistant director should have done that. And obviously, as reported, there have been other instances in previous movies. This one now really shocking Hollywood in the film community. What does this tell us about going forward with having weapons on sets?
Well, I think what's interesting is we have this, this was an independent production. There's a ton of production. We have new streaming services. There's a lot of folks who are putting content out there. This, I think, will be the #1 case for everyone who works with guns or any type of explosives on set to say, don't let our movie, our TV show be another Rust. Because I hope that this will take folks' attention to such a degree they'll say, listen, if firearms or explosives on set, we can't mess around. People can die.
They sure can. And so do you, as a criminal defense attorney, would you be advising the armor or the assistant director to lawyer up at this point? Do you think that this is going to become a bigger story?
It appears that they have. She had some lawyers yesterday who put out a statement, tried to kind of push responsibility to the production itself and say, gosh, we didn't have training, we didn't have this or that. I think that's going to, it's a little too late for those sorts of explanations, but she is certainly concerned about liability. She's hired lawyers, and I suspect there will be further developments on that front.
And just in the last 30 seconds or so we have, do you anticipate civil charges or cases as well?
Yeah, I mean, you have the death of an individual on set that should never have happened. It happened because of negligence. This is what the civil lawsuit, systems were for. Films are interesting. There's hopefully going to be insurance here. There's going to be some ways for hopefully the family to get compensated for this death. It absolutely was a case of negligence, and I just feel so badly for the family.
A tragic case indeed. Alex Little, thank you for taking time to join us today on Saturday. Have a good rest of your day. Anita?